Hello.
Hey everybody, we're back again to talk a little NFL football.
This time it's the playoffs.
We are down to the last few weeks of NFL football.
Until a long and excruciating wait.
This is my favorite time of the year. I love playoff football. I love the get it or go home games. It's fantastic. What we're going to recap the Wildcard weekend. So we had six.
Let's tell the viewers
games.
of each of the 7 participants in the AFC and the NFC side.
Yes.
The number 1 seed in the AFC is Kansas City.
Yep.
The number 2 is Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
The number 3 is Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 is Tennessee.
Yep.
The 5 is Baltimore. The 6 is Cleveland. And the 7th is Indianapolis.
Yep.
In the NFC, we get the Packers at number 1,
Mm-hmm.
the Saints number 2,
Mm-hmm.
the Seahawks the 3rd,
Yep.
Washington the 4th.
Okay, Washington's 4th. Yeah.
And number 5, we get Tampa Brady.
Brady.
Number 6, we get the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
And number 7, we get the 8-8 mediocre Chicago Bears.
So the Bears sort of slid in sideways there to the 7th spot. Hey, somebody had to take the 7th spot. It's bad when you're only one game ahead of the Washington football team club. But anyways, we're going to recap the 6 games. The number 1 seeds don't play, so there's no
but 2 through 7
Packers
do.
and there's no Chiefs. But we had some great games. We'll go ahead and jump on into Saturday. We're going to recap the wildcard round, like I said, and then we will do some picks for the divisional round games this weekend. First of all, we had the Colts at the Bills. That was a very
good debut.
Very good playoff game. I mean, a 3-point, 27-24.
Competitive between the 7 and the 2 going at each other.
Yeah. I got a little soft spot for Phillip Rivers. He's a talky guy, but he's a really nice guy, big family man. And I was really
seeing
that he looked good this game. He looked like the old Phillip Rivers. The Colts defense played good, but the Bills were just a little bit better.
In most aspects, the Bills were a little better.
The Bills are a better team than the Colts are.
And that's what ultimately decided this game.
The Bills have a great defense. The Colts have a great defense. So their defenses played good the whole games. Phillip Rivers played good, but
not good enough.
Not good enough. Now, Diggs, when they added Diggs to Buffalo, it was just
perfect fit.
It
seems like a perfect fit.
Yeah. So Buffalo got out by the skin of their teeth
and advanced to the divisional round.
And the Bills were at home, so they stay at home
and winning their first playoff game since the mid-90s.
Which is, we're seeing some turns in the NFL now. We're seeing some teams that haven't been good in a while. It's a new era of football. It is a new era of football. And the second game, we had the Rams at the Seahawks.
The Rams' defensive line strangled the Seahawks' O-line.
The Seahawks have struggled
offensively
for about 4 or 5 weeks now, really. They started out, let Russ cook, and then I think they ran out of ingredients.
And he burned the kitchen down.
And they burned the kitchen down somewhere about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and they never got the kitchen built back enough to where Russ could keep on cooking, because their flow, something just messed up, and they just
floundered.
It
cost the offensive coordinator his job.
Yeah, well, it probably should when you score 20 points at home in a playoff game.
And you've never lost a playoff game under Pete Carroll.
No, at home.
At home.
So, yeah,
and lost to their division rival at home in a playoff game.
Yeah, that was the one game that surprised me.
And Aaron Donald just wreaked havoc and his crew.
Yeah, I had the Bills over the Colts. But I thought the Seahawks would beat the Rams. The Rams had injuries too. They had their third-string quarterback in, and he got hurt the first round.
They had to bring Jared Goff.
They brought in the guy. He had his thumb was that big around and had 3 pins in it, and he come in and put 30. Yeah, so the Seahawks having some problems.
Yep. Ever since that interception at the goal line, they really had problems.
We may be down towards the end of the Seahawks dynasty run with this team.
If they don't do anything soon, they'll just be a regular playoff team for
Yeah.
like a couple of years.
Russell
and then-
Wilson is a fantastic quarterback. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. But they're going to have to put
Tighten
some
some
talent
bolts
up.
up.
They're going to have to put some talent around him. Yeah. We had the Tampa Brady Buccaneers
get the easiest draw.
get the easiest draw. They were at the 7-9 Washington
football.
Wombos.
The Wombos made the
The
postseason.
Wombos made the postseason.
And they put up a decent fight.
Yeah, they scored 23 against
With a backup quarterback.
with a backup quarterback. Now, if Alex Smith had been in there, it might have been a different game. But Alex Smith injured his calf.
But
and
Taylor
didn't get the start.
Heineke, who barely has
Heineke.
played any football at all as a quarterback in the NFL.
He came in and put 23 on the Bucs defense.
Do you think there's a bright future for the W's?
I don't know, because a defense sometimes can struggle when they play a quarterback that they've never seen before, because they don't know what his tendencies are. So they don't know how to defend him as well. So I don't know. Now, Alex Smith, I love Alex Smith. If there's three choices for comeback player of the year, it's Alex Smith, Alex Smith, and Alex Smith.
It should be named Alex Smith.
It should be named the Alex Smith Award now.
And the comeback coach of the year, Ron Rivera.
Ron Rivera from McCarran. So Washington played a whole lot better than what they could have, probably more better than what they should have. But in the end, the Tampa Brady Buccaneers pulled that one out. And honestly,
because of pure talent for the most part.
we had the Bucks pick too. I mean, that was sort of an obvious pick.
Got a crap ton of talent on that offense.
Yeah. All right, let's jump on into Sunday. Sunday, we had the Ravens at the Titans. We had this one picked too. We had the Ravens pick. Titans had won 2 in a row, and
their defense
dominated a little bit.
struggled.
But Tennessee's defense just had shown a lot of struggle lately. Really, what the struggle that you saw was when they played the Browns at home.
I mean,
they gave up like 30-something points.
30-something points in the first half.
In the first half, and you thought, man, Tennessee's defense is just not. And Clowney was out, so Clowney hasn't really been that good this year, to be honest.
And he has been pretty much a no-show.
He's been a sort of a bust this year, to be honest. So, and I think they had put a lot of hope in him, putting pressure on the quarterback, taking the pressure off of the DBs. Well, without a pressure from
with no good pass rush,
with no good pass rush,
secondary play.
Them secondaries are going to have to play better, and they didn't. So Tennessee's defense eventually did them in.
This win.
Derrick Henry's the best running back we've seen in probably
quite a few years.
Quite a few years. And Tannehill had just as good as numbers as any quarterback in the NFL this year. Tannehill played good.
But Baltimore just sniffed them out.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry only had 50 rushing yards.
The Titans had 10 points in the first quarter and ended up with 13. They scored 3 points
Baltimore
and 3
found
quarters.
a way to stop them. When you stop Derrick Henry, you stop the Titans.
Yeah, because now the Titans looked good when they passed down the field that one drive, but they got away from it. A.J. Brown didn't catch a pass from the first quarter to the fourth quarter.
They needed to get him more involved.
I don't know. They needed to. Yeah, they were a little off kilter. Their defense couldn't do anything, and they were off kilter. But
Lamar Jackson gets his first playoff win and a revenge win, which could set up a rivalry between these two.
I don't know if I would have went out and danced on the logo there at the end of the game. So, but
that'll just add a little more fire to a possible rivalry.
There's going to be some hitting in the next game. I'll tell you that. In the next game, we had the lock of the week: the Bears at the Saints.
The Wombos weren't the worst the Wombos had a 7-9 record, but you can at least say they tried to win.
The Washington scored 23 points. The Bears scored 9.
And it wasn't until the last drive.
9! Nothing! Yeah, they just scored crap. 20.
They had the worst performance of any team in the playoffs this year so far.
I don't think they've scored an offensive touchdown in how many quarters now? Is it 5 quarters
that
now?
Last second touchdown at the very end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They only had 3 points.
They're going to have to find some offense. The Bears are going to have to find some offense somewhere.
And they're keeping Matt Nagy around for another year. So we get
and
more of
it'll
this.
probably, Mitchell Trubisky will probably be the starting quarterback next year too. So one more year.
They're trying to rectify a mistake by keeping him around.
Hey, you know what the definition of insanity is?
Trying the same thing
over and over
and
expecting it to be different. I mean,
oh, Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. And then the probably one of the most no doubt this was the most exciting game of the week, the Browns at the Steelers. We had the Browns picked in this one too.
But that first quarter,
Man.
That first quarter was so pathetically awful.
The Steelers had a fumble on the first play for a
First
touchdown.
snap flew over his head. The Browns get a freebie touchdown.
The next drive was an
interception.
The third drive was
interception.
Man, the Browns were up 21-0,
28-0,
and the Steelers hadn't even got the Gatorade made yet in their buckets, and it was 21-0. It was bad. Now the Steelers showed some resolve. They tried to come back, and the momentum swapped back to the Steelers.
And then
Steelers scored, and then the Browns went down and scored a touchdown, and it was right back on again. I mean, the Browns are better than people give them credit. And people always think, well, they're the Browns. You know, they were 16.
They're just the Browns,
16
right?
Brown. They're just little old Browns.
They're not those little old Browns from a couple of years ago anymore.
Nope. The Steelers had 2 games left in the year, and Browns beat them both times.
One to get into the playoffs and
one to kick them out of the playoffs.
Pittsburgh let them in and Cleveland let them out.
That was it, yeah.
And another bit of playoff history with this game.
Mm-hmm.
This is Cleveland's first playoff win since 1994.
Yes, and their first road playoff win since 1969.
Breaking a crap ton of records.
Crap. 51 years. That's a 51-year-old record. But yeah, but the poor Browns do have to go
to Kansas City.
Let's go ahead and jump into that divisional round and let's talk about these games. Do some picks, some predictions on what we think. The first game Saturday at 4:35 Eastern Standard Time are the Rams at the Packers.
Will the Rams carry their rock-solid defense into Green Bay and beat Aaron Rodgers, grumpy old Aaron, off his rocking chair?
No. Grumpy old Aaron is going to kick them off his lawn. Get off my lawn, you youngsters, you! No, Aaron Rodgers is going to, I think. The line on this one is 6.5. Take the Packers minus 6.5.
Take the Packers?
Yes, take the Packers. I honestly think this is going to be a double-digit win. I could be wrong. The playoffs are sometimes hard to pick. But we were 5 of 6 last week, so we didn't do too bad. And I really think the Packers are going to get it in gear this week, if you could say.
Get it in gear?
I think there's going to be 30-something points scored by the Packers and only 20-something points scored
by the Rams.
I think it's a double-digit win. Maybe, in that 34-20 type. I think it's maybe up to a 14-point spread there that it's going to be due. The Packers look that good this year. Aaron, honestly,
having one of his best years.
I think it may be his best year I've ever seen him play, and that's a lot to say for
48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
Yeah, 48 touchdowns and 5 picks. 48 touchdowns. How many picks now? 48 and how many picks?
5.
So, 48 touchdowns and 5 picks. How accurate do you need to be? And he's got something that he hasn't had in forever. And what's that?
A running game.
A running game. They got a running game at the Packers.
And he's playing like an MVP.
They've got an excellent running game. They've got 2 good wide receivers.
Grumpy old Aaron.
And grumpy old Aaron is happy.
That's scary.
Grumpy Aaron is happy. He's having fun. You can see it on the field. He's out there jolly and having fun. The only reason they've lost is what? They lost how many games did they lose? 3 games? One of them they lost was because of a stupid play call on 4th and 1, which I still hate passing on. I hate passing on 4th and 1.
That's one of his biggest
That's my biggest irritant, my biggest pet peeves. If you can't get 1 yard running the ball, you shouldn't be playing football. But let's get back to this. One game they lost was only because of a stupid play call. They could have been
14-2.
14-2 easily. Easy. And I really think the Packers win this one by double digits. So that's probably my strongest feeling of the week, really, is that one. The second game on Saturday is going to be a tough one to call.
The Bills host the Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore Ravens are on a little bit of fire right now. How many games have they won in a row?
I think they've won 5 or 6 in a row.
They've won Tennessee. They beat the Bengals, beat the Giants, beat the Jaguars, barely beat the Browns, but that was a really good game. Beat the Cowboys. So they haven't beat great teams, and
the only good team they've beaten in that stretch is Cleveland.
Is Cleveland, and that was 42-47. That was a barn burner.
Between one former Cleveland and the new Cleveland.
Yeah.
If you don't know, the Ravens used to be the old Browns.
Yes. It's funny. The Steelers' hated rivals are the older Browns and the new Browns, and both of the Browns are in the playoffs, and the Steelers ain't. That's yeah. You got two
I don't
Browns.
know if I want to laugh too much at
You got two
Pittsburgh
Browns.
because they already got embarrassed enough.
But Pittsburgh had a good team this year. They just didn't have a running game. Now James Conner's a great running back.
But they just don't have a running
They
game.
just don't have a running game around him. I don't know that, but that was odd. But the Bills beat the Dolphins, Patriots, Broncos, Steelers, 49ers, Chargers.
They haven't lost a game since they lost to that Hail Mary play.
And then they lost the Hail Mary, which they shouldn't have. But then they beat the Seahawks, the Patriots, the Jets, and then back to the Chiefs. So the Bills are on a little bit of a roll right now too. So that's a hard game. The line on it is only 2.5 points. Buffalo's favored by 2.5 at home. So if this was a neutral field,
me and Dad have been pretty much mixed on this one.
Mixed on this one. Normally, there's a road team wins one of the 4 games. That's just normally. It's hard for all 4 home teams to win.
Baltimore has played very well. Buffalo has played very well, so it's pretty much a toss-up.
I think Buffalo's defense is better. Buffalo's defense is really top-notch. I think they've really got a really good defense. But, man, it's so tough.
With Lamar Jackson running around the field like a Hot Wheels in a little kart race, it's hard for me to pick that game. It's just a toss-up. What is your pick?
It's going to be so tough. I'm going to go Buffalo.
Want to have Buffalo edge them out?
I'm going to go Buffalo edges them out. Probably kicks a field goal and wins this one. Baltimore's defense has been picking it up a little bit, but man, Buffalo's offense has been so dynamic.
Do they cover Stephon Diggs? Do they cover Josh Allen?
It's going to be tough. But I'm going to go ahead and pick Buffalo minus that 2.5. I think they win by probably 3. That 0.5 point could actually win that one for you there. I'm going to go ahead and go with Buffalo. Sunday, we got 2 fantastic games also. We got
the upstart Cleveland Browns against the red-hot Kansas City Chiefs.
The Browns at the Chiefs.
The Browns get their crack at the defending Super Bowl champions.
I do think the Chiefs are going to win this game. I think there's too much firepower on
that the Browns
Chiefs.
Can actually defend.
Yeah.
I don't think many teams can defend that much talent.
No. The trouble is the Chiefs are favored by 10.
Disrespect.
I don't think the Chiefs win by 10.
If they do, that's impressive.
I think it's a 7 to 8 point game. I think it's like a 31.
Maybe like a
38, 31 type game. I think it's in that range.
But
or 41-35. If it's a high scoring game.
But
I don't think it's 10. I really just don't think it's 10
The
points.
Chiefs are going to win this football game. That's what I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't take this away from Cleveland any bit.
I'm not going to let 10 points in the playoffs is a monster. That's a monster. That's a blowout. 10 points in the playoffs. That's
kind of like Bill O'Brien last year.
Oh, I mean, that's like New Orleans and the Bears last week. That was a 10-point game. You knew it was a 10-point game because the Bears suck.
They suck on offense.
They suck. They can't get the football in the end zone. But this is a Cleveland team that just put up 40 on the Steelers.
It's the Steelers. So you're treating them by
and
have that bet by at least 10.
And this is the Browns team that went into Tennessee and put 35 up in the first half. I just don't think. I think it's going to be closer. I'm going to take the Browns plus 10 as far as the line goes, but I'm going to take the Chiefs to win.
I mean, imagine now, Cleveland used to be 0-16.
Yeah.
Now they're in the playoffs and ready to get their shot at the defending champs.
Yes. They won 11 games and now have won 12.
And they beat their division rival twice.
Yes, twice to get to this point. So they're confidence right now is like.
And I feel like that's where the Browns as a franchise are trending.
Yes,
all the way up there.
I think the Browns may be a divisional winner next year.
Maybe. With Baltimore still around there in the corner.
That's going to be the new rivalry, is Baltimore and the Browns. The old Browns and the new Browns fighting for that. But I'm going to, like I said, we'll take plus 10 points. That's a lot of points for the playoffs. And then the final game, we got the Tampa Brady Buccaneers going to the New Orleans Saints. This was scary too.
Knowing the Saints' tortured playoff history,
they find some way to lose every year. I mean, they beat the Colts in the Super Bowl, played a fantastic game that game, and then every playoff season since then,
it's been heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak.
They got cheated out of 2 or 3 of them, and then blew one of them, and just
there's something up with the Saints.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make me trust them in the playoffs anymore.
No, I would think that the Saints should win this.
But maybe by a small margin.
But I don't know. They're favored by 3.
I'll pick New Orleans by 3, to be honest.
Yeah. That might be the game to sort of stay away from, to be honest. I've got a bad feeling that the Bucs may end up winning it just because it's
talent.
It's Tom Brady in the playoffs. He freaking doesn't lose. So, but although I don't think the Bucs could get past the Packers,
especially because of the Packers and what the Bucs did to them in the regular season, they'd want to get back at them.
See, the Saints have already won 2 in a row against the Pack, so 3 in a row is hard to do in 1 year.
Unless the Saints want to try for 3 straight.
The wild card is Michael Thomas came back last week for the Saints, and he looked good. He looked good. So I would probably take the Saints to -3. But that's taking all 4 home teams, which is very rarely happens.
Very rarely.
I'm afraid for either Buffalo or the Saints. We'll go ahead and take all 4 homes just to see what happens. But I'm afraid for the Buffalo and New Orleans. I think one of those 2 might end up losing. Maybe both of those might end up losing. I think the lock of the week's the Packers. And we're going to slide in with the Browns, a little +10 there, but with the Chiefs winning the game. So that's it. That's so exciting. I love this time of year. That's it for playoff football this week for the NFL. We hope you had a little fun.
The subscribe button down below.
Leave a
comment.
Send
us a comment down below on what you think is going to happen in the divisional round.
What's your pick for these 4 games? It's fantastic. Other than that, hit the groovy baby button over here somewhere.
On my head.
Other than that, we'll see you next week. Talk some more.
See you next week.